Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Between the Headlines, we're going to be looking at political party hoppers, people that move from one party to the other like grasshoppers, and flip-floppers. Those are the two groups, and of course, our 2023 runoff. For some, this is a strange phenomenon that someone will be supporting party A or candidate A, and that person will insult, demean, and just outright disrespect the other side. And in the twinkling of an eye, based on where the political pendulum swings, that person jumps on the other side and starts doing the exact opposite. What is responsible for this? Why is it continuing to happen? And who is enabling such a behavior? That's what we're going to be talking about. And we will name names here so as to crystallize the conversation. I have my man here, the political bulldog. He's going to be assisting me to engage some of the brightest minds in our community. Mr. Sia, welcome to the show.
Dennis, thank you. It's good to be here. Very, very interesting topic. This topic is almost like talking about the monkey that jumps from tree to tree in search for a banana, and it does not care whatever tree is in. The goal there is to get that banana and eat. But we are talking about the smartest creature ever made by Comrade Jesus and the Almighty. So politically speaking, this is something to look into. I'm glad we have Ahmed, we have Ja Blambo, Kalabu is here, and we will dive into this very, very important topic. I'm all set. Let's get this going.
Thank you. Again, the topic is political party hoppers, flip-floppers, and the 2023 round of elections. We have in the house to discuss this our governor's advisor, Mr. Ahmed K. Salif. Mr. Salif, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's always a pleasure. Let's go after it.
Really, I want us to make sense of this because it bothers me the entire weekend. And that's why we have to do this. Let me welcome the progressive columnist, Mr. Ja Nimne Blamo. Mr. Blamo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be on this show. And the topic is very interesting. I think it needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We also have Mr. Kalabo Gonglo, who's going to be joining us in a minute. Mr. Gonglo will be bringing his expertise and his practical knowledge about political party hoppers, flip floppers, in the 2023 elections. We also expecting Glendy, Jean, and Mohammed Sharif. They all will be here, and we're going to discuss about this very important topic. Of late, we have seen speeches, we have seen carpet crossing, we've seen party hopping, we've seen everything, right? And we're going to name some names so that you can put faces to it and know what we're talking about. So today, you will have an individual supporting, let's say, CDC, and that person will be raining insults on Unity Party or ANC. Within the twinkling of an eye, that person will flip and is allowed in the inner circle of the people he was once abusing, denigrating, and everything like that. So, what we're going to be discussing tonight first is what is responsible for this kind of behavior. Is it unique to Liberia, or what is unique about the Liberian scenario? We also, has it always been happening in Liberia, or is this a post-war phenomenon, or post Judy Bryant, or post Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? We're going to look at that, the historicity of this kind of behavior, and of course, we want to see what is responsible, who is enabling such a behavior. If we deem this to be very bad for our democracy, who is enabling them? Is it the party hierarchy that continue to embrace these flip-floppers, or everybody's just playing everybody? Or is it the partisans who continue to cheer when that person is on their side and boo when the person is on the other side? Even if that person comes back, they start cheering again. Or is it the Liberian people that try to support, that don't necessarily lampoon this kind of behavior? That's all we're going to be talking. Let me also welcome Mr. Kalebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, welcome to the show. Mr. Gonglo is a statistician, so everything he want to calculate the statistics before he says something. Mr. Gonglo, you're welcome. You're muted, sir. All right. So that's it. And talking about political flip-floppers, I want to give you some examples here. Number one, Henry Pedro Costa. This is the third time supporting CDC. And many of you are aware, you have the videos of what he says when he's on one side and what he says when he's on the other side. Example number two, Eugene Lamy Fagon. At the moment, he and Costa have crisscrossed. Number three, Prince White Johnson. He was calling names, Mr. Boakai names. Now he's on that side. Even his son, Jeremiah Kwankao, he was calling names, describing Mr. Boakai. Now they are together. I mean, what is reconciling the people? We don't know. Or how are they reconciling to settle their differences? It looks to me that it just happened overnight. We also have the Fadiga brothers. They have moved from one party to the other, and when they are on the other side, man, those guys can talk. J. Randy Dapo, for instance. And I'm calling names tonight. Mr. Mark Jabate, Mr. Samuel P. Jackson. It is not just flipping side, but I'm talking about the insults and the vitriol language when these surrogates are supporting one side and what they say when they are on the other side. That's what we are going to discuss tonight. What is responsible for that? Is this unique to our situation? And who is enabling this kind of behavior? Mr. Gonglo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be here, but not also too happy though.
Yeah. Because you have not endorsed anybody. Maybe that's why.
No, because I'm so tired.
All right. We won't keep you long. So at this time, starting with any one of you, let me get your first your. I don't know if you're feeling it the way I'm feeling it now. If this is also challenging your mind, or is it just business as usual, Mister? Let me start with Mister Calabo Gonglo. This whole thing that I've described, uh, is it what is it to you?
Well, I think the question of I, I, I I think there is a different a flavor, the strategy, and the way it's done in other countries. I think it's just a little bit moderate and probably I would say quote unquote in inverted quotation civilized compared to how it is done nowadays in Liberia. Because let's take for example the state of Pennsylvania where I live. The late Allen Specter, he was moving between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Whenever you saw the pool as an incumbent senator of Pennsylvania and the state is leaning Republican, and if he's a Democrat, he will jump on the Republican side and run and contest as a senator. I think he did it like 2 or 4 times, and he succeeded with it. And, I mean, he was. I think he either died in office as a, he served so long, but he mastered that game. For some reason, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they were always, comfortable with his changing uh, perspective, view, because the Democratic Party is a liberal party and the Republican, they are social conservative. So, and every time you embrace the other values and another time embrace the other value, I mean, without cursing anyone, but these are parties that have fundamental differences on ideology and on views on many social issues. And you will navigate between those and the partisans of this party. We go and voting. Okay, he did that many times. So if you look at Liberia today, what is happening? One, first there is a market for it. The politicians have created a market for it because even and there is a culture. I will say there is an incubator already in Liberia. I was in Liberia during the campaign, and you see little boys come to you and say that we just need data to make phone call and attack the other people. Or when you go on the show, we just need data to promote you. That's the incubation stage because they don't believe in you. You just need to put data on their phone and they will make call and say, Kalabo Gonglo is the best person, is the this. They are incubating them now. And 10 years from now, or 8 years from now, some of them will be in the voting age and they will start to do the same thing and maybe for bigger money. So I think we are in a real trouble. And the politicians create the market for it. So it's sad to some extent, but first we need to change our politics. If we change our politics, the way we elect people, and the voters themselves need to be educated because the market is there. And it was not market. Eugene Fagon. Eugene Fagon is a cause for me. Personally, I don't listen to Spoon TV because of Eugene Fagon. Because I listened to this guy when he was attacking almost anybody who opposed CDC. The same mentality is on Spoon today. If you say anything that is critical of Joseph Boaga, you're supposed to be something. Either you're supposed to be taking money from where or something. He does not encourage dissent or intellectual disagreement, even though he's not one. So he doesn't.
Thank you.
And there's a market for it. And the voters also, the politician and the voters create the market for these kinds of behavior.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. John Nimlan Blamo to his take. But first, let me welcome our man all the way from Conway Canyon River G from Waplo Institute, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. He is FOL political analyst. Mr. Sharif, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Dennis.
Boaga analyst.
Dennis, thank you for the intro and thank you for making this elementary school way back, out there, very famous on the renowned FOL.
Thank
And
you.
the Gonglos of this world are very jealous of such because some of them came from elite schools, elite elementary backgrounds, and we of the real masses. So when we went up to the University of Liberia, some of them, wore dirty sneakers and stuff like that. They pretended like they were part of the proletariat. Some of them we're seeing now their real colors, like the Gonglos of this world.
Thank you. Mr. Blambo, what you make of
Yeah.
it? I mean, this is just the introduction. We're going to go deep into it. But your
Okay.
first, because I'm thinking, am I crazy here or am I making mountain out of a molehill? Go ahead, sir.
I think the idea of people flip flopping is not uncommon to politics, and it's all a mark of our political maturity. And you have to look at Liberia from where we come from. In 1927, the presidential election, we are in the Guinness Book of Record for the most fraudulent election in history. Charles Dunbar King won the election by 235,000 votes against his opponent with 9,000 votes, when the eligible voters in the country were 15,000. Now we have come to a stage where we have a competitive election. For the first time, a sitting president gave way to an incoming president. Progress is there. You add what Mr. Bungalow just said, even the kids are creating involved with citizen activism. Our country is growing. So the reason why flip-flopping is like a mortal sin in Liberia is because of the emotional and the hatred that we attach to our politics. The level of our emotional intelligence, our limited experience in competitive politics, and the lack of a clear message. When you have politicians who have no clear message, anything goes. So the second aspect of it is politics in the Western world is based on individual rights. In Africa or Liberia, it's based on wealth distribution. So just as Gonglo has said, the kind of politics that we have determine the factors that go with it. So when you have people switching parties, they are following the political trend. Let's look at the great United States. Hillary Clinton, who was a Democratic presidential candidate, she actually was from the young Republican party when she was a teenager in college. She went to law school before she became a Democrat. Look at Winston Churchill, the well-known opposition to Nazism. Churchill switched from Conservative Party to Liberal Party and started advocating for pension, unemployment insurance, and public health and reform. Look at Storm Thurmond, a legislator in the United States. From the early part of the 20th century, he was against the Civil Rights Bill. He was against segregation. Later on, Thurmond changed. He appointed the first black Senate staffer in the United States. And he supported the Martin Luther King holiday as a celebration in the United States. Look at George Wallace, well known for his strong support for segregation. And his famous quotation was, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. Actually, George Wallace was never in favor of segregation. It was the election, the trend of the election that made him turn to it to get vote. Okay.
Did those people go back where they came from? Or how many times they switch sides? Maybe that's the difference.
Well, we just heard about the Pennsylvania senator.
No,
he switched sides.
The examples you give, because Hillary Clinton, as a young woman in college, anybody can do that, right? But now I'm talking about the Costas, the Randy Dappos, the Eugene Fagons of the world. Go ahead, and your thoughts.
Yeah, but George Wallace then were older people when it changed. We have the McCarthy senator who was a presidential nominee, and later he changed and started supporting Ronald Reagan, who was a Republican. What I'm saying here is that we are evolving as a nation. Our political maturity is increasing. our political experience is increasing. And so the switching of people it can be seen either as a bad thing or a positive thing. But at this point, I see it as some level of reconciliation. Because imagine if you had 20 candidates and now you have 2 candidates on the race. What is the expectation? People have to join. So when people weigh their options, they look at the platform, they have to make decisions. And sometimes the decision might lead to them switching twice. But it's all about decisions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me go to Mr. Salif. Mr. Salif, I mean, how you look at it and what's responsible?
Well, we have to be careful, first of all, to ensure that we're not making uh, multiple arguments. Maybe we are. Maybe we should be making multiple arguments or making the opposite argument, thinking we're arguing the topic. We say we were here to debate tonight. First off, let's lay the foundation. What Mr. Gonglo and Mr. Blamo have mentioned as examples, fair enough. But you ought to look at a society, you want a society where there's inclusivity in governance, there are strong institutions, there's institutionalism backed by a strong sense of rule of law where people are under the organic law of the land. Nobody's above the law. There's no impunity. No society is perfect. But I want to describe a society where all of these voice, assembly, speech, rights are protected and granted and demanded, right? So if you have that kind of context, then you're talking about political maturity, because then you have political institutions, political parties as political institutions that we expect to groom people. We expect to have structure. We expect to have institutionalism, and therefore discipline will be there. People will be disciplined. So that's the foundation of my perspective, my worldview when it comes to this issue I want to lay. The second aspect of that is you want to question, are we looking at opportunism? Are we looking at ideological differences? Are we looking at policy differences? Are we looking at fundamental principles that individuals who have strong sense of self, sense of governance, sense of citizenship, and loyalty to country? These individuals we're talking about, are these individuals who have these kinds of characteristics are known for standing for their country, or are they known for standing for themselves? Is this an aggrandizing environment? In our context, yes, it is an aggrandizing environment. A lot of political opportunists, it is an environment of political opportunism. This is not about country. This is not about ideological and policy differences. I believe when we go in depth into these discussions, we will be able to dissect example by case by case.
Thank you. Mr. Salif, again, political party hoppers, flip-floppers in the 2023 election.
You're back to me or going to Sharif? Or you confused?
Mr. Sharif, what's your take? What's your introductory? What jumps out of you when you hear about this topic and the kind of attitude that I earlier explained?
Okay, so first, I think I mentioned that Comrade Gonglo was not one of the. It's not probably if I suggested that he's not a real activist or something along those lines, that was incorrect. Or it's probably a poor choice of word. I do know my comrade from the university. What I'm going to say is that Gonglo is pushing aside now a president who has unleashed his thugs on university students. So it's shocking to me that all his discussions on our forum is in support of George Weah, who has unleashed thugs to beat up on university students. Keep in mind, these are students. The current student leadership is headed by the Student Unification Party. So I'm still waiting to see where Gonglo is going to go with this endorsement, because then I have something to say about that. So, what's going on is you have political, I call them the political grasshoppers. These guys have no principle, no imagination, there's no ideology. Agman is correct. Where is the ideology? So they are following political parties who themselves have no real ideology of what they're trying to do. So therefore, you have these individuals, and I'm sure, the two that probably will really come to mind is Henry Pedro Costa and Eugene Fagon, guys who have flip-flopped for the better part, probably in the last 4 or 5 years. But you can also add Eugene Nagbe to that list. You probably add Edwin Snow to that list. It's a long list. I mean, Eugene Nagbe started off, I believe, with the MPFL / MPP, went over to the CDC, and then the UP, back to the CDC. Like, where is he? Where does he stand? He stands nowhere. These guys are in it for the loss of wealth, loss of money, power and control. That's all they're there for. You have someone like Henry Costa, who has called George Weah all kinds of names. George Weah was supposed to be a dog. George Weah was supposed to be a goat. George Weah was supposed to be a four-legged animal. George Weah was not supposed to be a real human being. And that is according to Henry Pedro Costa. But today, he is supporting George Weah because he lost his bid for the vice presidency. And that's all it is. There is no real principle. There is no real ideology. That's what these guys are. And one of the reasons for this is that you have public service that's very enticing in Liberia. Liberian public service, public servants are well paid. And everyone and their brother is trying to run out there to get into the public service and steal, get what you can get, and get away from there. And a lot of people, in most instances, people don't get away from public service. They stay in there till they retire or till they die. And so the likes of Henry Costa probably is following in the footsteps of some of the big flip-floppers in Liberian history. And as we progress in this conversation, we will come up with some of those people who've done it, whose footsteps that they are following. So this is nothing new. But what they are doing now is just sticking it to a whole another level, a different level. I mean, you've called George Weah all kinds of names, and now, you're on the next flight, to go to Monrovia. Of course, we've heard that ever since he lost his bid for the vice presidency, he's been talking to the president, he's been talking to Weah, and so, it didn't just start now. He has been in communication, from what we heard, with the Weah folks. And so now, yesterday or earlier today was a culmination, I think it was yesterday, was a culmination of all of that. Again, going back to no principle, no idea, no imagination. It's all about money. It's all about money for themselves and wealth. So all of what Mr. Blamo talked about, Hillary Clinton, and this and that, and the rest of them, is far from what these guys are doing in Liberia.
Thank you. Mr. Sear, just pin a picture for us here of what we're discussing, especially, and then you can take it up from there. Oh.
I would like to make a rebuttal to something they called my name.
Go ahead, then Mr. Sear will come in.
Okay. You see, I believe that we have to define what we have. It's a nice thing to define democracy on an international standard or on an American standard. But all politics is local. We have to define what we have. In Liberia, for the last 100 and something years, our politics is not based on individual rights. Our politics is based on wealth distribution. So why it's surprising to some people today that somebody will follow wealth?
Explain that. Individual rights and wealth distribution. What does that mean?
We got 170 years of democracy. we still cannot elect our local leaders in the county. If you ask the average Liberian man, what is important to him now is jobs, something to eat, place to stay. You look at it from the Maslow theory, where the basic need come before the other intellectual needs. You have to define the place you are. It's false that and the politicians have no principles. They don't have the kind of principles we would like them to have. And it's true that our political parties have no standards and no message. So anything goes. But the individual, they just have standards that we don't understand. And but it doesn't mean that no standard exists. And if we wait to say we should wait until we have solid institutions and people with solid standards and all before we can talk about political maturity, as I think Mr. Sally was implying, we'll be waiting a long time. We have what we have. Those people there are growing. The political maturity of the country is on the increase. It's different. It's just not following the trend that we wanted to follow. So I think we should respect what we got. Instead of in social work, they say you meet people where they are. We wish for something, but this is where we are, and we're still wishing for something. So as a result, we don't see what we got. What we have is a mass people who need a lot of education when it comes to democracy. What we need is a whole bunch of educated and unemployed people who are trying to survive. So our politics has to adjust to that.
We have specific individuals
Right.
who have gone back 3 or 4 times. So we are not talking about the entire population. Yes, our democracy is growing, it's maturing.
Right.
But what will cause someone, and we're going to come to that, especially what is driving someone like Henry Costa or Fagon that will be causing this man today. Tomorrow he's on the other side. Don't forget.
It is the politics. It is the politics that is driving them.
So is the
just like the last speaker said, it is the kind of politics we got in Liberia. And just like Gonglo said, unless we change our politics, people are dancing the song that we are playing in our political culture.
If I may,
we are culture of wealth distribution. It's not the rights, the individual rights of citizens. Our whole politics is about wealth distribution. I will stop there.
That's not wealth distribution, but Ahmed, go ahead. It's not.
no, I was gonna.
I'm not too sure I agree with Mr. Blamo on the question of wealth distribution. What I was,
Mr. Gonglo, so leave us on the floor. Let him finish, please.
Yeah, no, I wonder. I mean, Mr. Blamo, I don't want to accuse you of, having internally inconsistent debates. Like having 2 debates at the same time that are imploding by themselves. Because on the one hand, you've cited examples that are all now local, that are all now consistent with what you've just described, that we should accept what we have. You're citing Wallace, you're citing Winston Churchill, you're citing Western politicians in Western democracies, in Western institutions, acting in Western context, right? And then we come back and say, look, we have a problem. At least my thesis there was that we have a problem. Our problem is we're not behaving based on ideology. We're not behaving because we have policy differences. We're not behaving because we mean well for the state. We are behaving for self. We are self-aggrandizing. Yes, we can go and say, why is that? And ask that bigger question. Why is that? Oh, let's look at our culture. Let's look at our economic situation. Do we produce anything? Do we grow anything? Do we manufacture anything? Do we have professions where people can go and thrive and succeed and be wealthy and successful and not rely on a welfare state system? We can ask those questions, right? I didn't go there. I just set the stage to say, look, I want to be able to engage in a discussion that says, what is the context are we dealing with? Are we dealing with lack of institutionalism, ideology, and so on? So when you say, let's accept what we have as though we don't accept ourselves as Liberian, then I would say I would disagree with that. Finally, on this, before we go to Mr. CA, the point I want to make is that, you know, I always say, listen, you have to take the kojologbo, take the bitter pill before you heal. We have to hold ourselves accountable and say, what do we have? Is this what we want? Do we accept mediocrity and just accept anything quickly and sit down? We say it's fine that the city is growing, the high looking like. We will not go anywhere if we are a people who just sits and accept anything. Okay, let's challenge our system. Let's fix it. Let's set high standards for ourselves, of our people and our country, and push and move toward that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amen. And Dennis, I'm glad you pulled it to me here. Political helpers are individuals who jump from supporting one party to the other, or an individual who left another party to join another party for a reason. Usually the reason is for them to have some connection to the power that be, if not just connection, a job. If not a job, recognition. Then the question is, what is driving that? What drives that is almost the same. They want to be, they want to belong, they want to be close to power, they want a job. In the case of Fagon as a political grasshopper and flip-flopper of the highest order, when the 2017 election started, I believe he was propagating for the URE. When the URE did not succeed, he switched, and then he was looking at the landscape. He said he was doing analysis, and later on he realized that we had a chance. And so he opened his mouth against the Unity Party and classified the Unity Party as the cartel. So he will bash the cartel, and little did we know Fagons was coming with 4 AA degrees, and he will land a job with the CDC, and he became the harshest critic of the Unity Party. This guy will go on and on, hailing President Weah, hailing the CDC, and just telling us that everybody else was just bad. Did he have any ideology when it comes to politics? I don't think I may agree, because if he had an ideology that he subscribed to, I don't think he would be moving. The thing is, Dennis, people can involve on an issue. All right. For example, President Joe Biden, from the beginning of this going election, when the Democrats were pushing him about waiving student loan, he said no. He said no quite clearly during the campaign. But where is Biden now? He has involved on the issue, and he's saying that he wants student loan to even be forgiven. He even, I think there's a legislation to that has been started by the Supreme Court. He involved on the issue. He did not change a political party, because the political institution he belongs to, has political ideology, philosophy, that are things they subscribe to that can, improve the country. But in our country, always as a governor, a consultant and advisor, you're always talking about institutionalism. Where are we with that? If you look at the Liberian People's Party, for example, I see some ideas there. The ideas are solid. So some of these people hold to those ideas so dearly. And some of them will die with those ideas. That is a good thing. You must have a set of belief system that you hold onto, and not individual. Yeah, you can have individuals in the party as leaders that you respect, all right, because of what they stand for, and not just because of who they are. But in our case, it's different. Costa comes to mind. Dennis, what's this guy all about? This is a political deal maker. He's a propagandist of the highest order for his own pocket. That's what drives his politics. What took him to Bwaka in the first place, after calling Joseph Bwaka a dead man walking, a tribalist, sadistic old man, the only thing Bwaka knows and does is tribalism. He belittled this state man for no reason other than what he would get from doing that in 2017. When he saw that Bwaka has his chance, according to him, he resuscitated Bwaka for his own benefit. It has been proven now, because he cannot get his way to have Joseph Bwaka's ear. And now he turns around just where on whose back he has been for 5 years, having interviewed with the BBC, VOA, I think it's Span 24, and many international media institutions, including his own platform and all other Liberian platforms. And this guy has the guts to switch at the 11th hour, all because he did not get what he wanted. Institutionalism, what is the ideals and philosophy of the All Liberian Party? It's a family party owned by Benny Nayure, period. We don't know of anything about them other than the name Ure. So I mean, it's right when he said institutionalism, ideas, and the whole issue about individualism. I mean, identity politics is one part of it. We attach ourselves to the individuals. The CDC is a political institution that is highly rooted in the ordinary people. So they have a culture there. So you see young people will stay there. But the thing is, when we are least, because it lacks a better political leadership, I don't know how it will turn out. So Dennis, to conclude, these are people who are doing all this because of what they benefit at the end of the day. And the political institution they go to, their leaders welcome them because it will benefit them at the end of the day. And this is not, and the worst of all, the insult that is introduced, and it's like the more you insult, the more you get recognized in Liberia. The same thing with the media institution. If you are with a party and you are attacking another institution, attacking another political leader, the more views you get because it's entertaining. Nobody wants to talk about how we can be better citizens and become better representation of our country. And this is sad. And that has been introduced to the young people that will take food and insult the other person for the other, even though they don't believe that is true. It's sad for our country. And this is a new phenomenon that we have to deal with. It's shameful. How we get out of it, we can all think how to do so.
Dennis, can I say something? Because Mr. Sally called my name, and then I heard another point. Everything that Anthony said boils down to political parties that have no standards, that have no message. Then when I talk about the politics in Liberia is based on wealth distribution and not individual rights, then they seem to be saying that I'm creating a controversial discussion. But it's the same thing.
What does that mean? You didn't explain. What does is based on web distribution? What does it mean? Who will give you
everything that Anthony said? Costa is not here to defend himself. I'm not going to judge the reason for his.
I thought every governance system in any country, for that matter, is all about web distribution. So to reduce it to the topic we are discussing, I don't think we're doing justice to the topic, Mr. Blamo.
Liberia politics, they have no principles in the political parties. The standards are not strong, and it all boils to wealth distribution. I'm talking about Liberia. In Liberia, it's wealth distribution. And just what you said, proximity to power.
You're using the wrong concept. That's not wealth distribution. That's not what wealth distribution means.
You are looking for what you can get.
Oh, okay. So it's opportunism.
Opportunism. That's not wealth distribution.
Yes.
When you talk about opportunity to get wealth, it's the distribution of wealth. Opportunity.
That's corruption. That's basically yes.
Wealth from Lamco is not filtering down to the people of Jacopa, the people of Sonic.
You're talking about different kind of wealth.
When we talk about wealth distribution,
no, you listen to what I'm saying. Don't interpret my words.
Well, you're wrong. You're using the wrong word. You're using the wrong semantics here. So
you have to understand what I'm saying before you can judge it.
All right, let's get to what you're saying.
Based
on what people can get personally.
What people can get? Yes.
Okay, go ahead. All right, thank you. What is responsible for this? Just end your thought as to what is responsible for this party hopping and flip-flopping. And especially I want to emphasize, moving from one party to another, yes, based on it can happen. But I'm saying these people will insult for years. And then when they flip, it's like nothing happens. And then they come back. And then they go back. Randy Dapo has been in with CDC back and forth like 4 times now. What's responsible, Mr. Blambo? What do you think? Is it wealth?
I think it's our politics is based on that. What you can get. It's the distribution of money and the proximity to power. And frankly, the idea of someone flip flopping, personally, I don't really think it's a mortal sin. You know, I don't really. I believe that Henry Costa should his political style of verbal insult and deep degradation, or a Yeke style, the politician who go about cursing people, the extreme hatred and the extreme violence in their verbalization is something different. But on the real political surface, you can switch your party.
No, Mr. Blambo, let me
Yes,
remind you. So
yeah,
if you use those language and you go
yeah.
back to the person you were insulting,
It
and then the
depends
next
on.
day, 1 month later, you turn around again.
It
That's the
depends.
behavior I'm trying to paint here.
It depends on the arrangement. It depends on the understanding. It depends on what you got to gain and what
So
both sides got to gain.
in the case of Henry Costa, what is responsible for his behavior, you think?
Henry Costa cannot bring himself to support the UP party, and you guys know so many reasons why he cannot.
No. That's
Eh,
not what I'm saying.
oh,
Why
okay.
is he moving between CDC and UP back and forth, back and forth?
Because he saw something in UP, and he doesn't see it anymore.
What's about CDC? Because that's what he just berated 2 nights ago. What happened? What
CDC,
changed?
he's looking at the lesser evil in his perspective.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, Mr. Sharif, what is responsible for this kind of behavior?
It's greed. It's no wealth distribution. There's no wealth being distributed in Liberia. The Liberian people are poorer now than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So wealth is not filtering down to the Liberia. It's not trickling down to the average Liberian masses. The wealth is sticking up there among the elite of the Liberian aristocratic elite. The president and his cronies are keeping the wealth themselves. That's why they're super millionaires. They're the richest people, some of the richest people in Africa. And so what is going on is that you have these grasshoppers, political grasshoppers, who want to get a share of the pie of the political pie.
The
So
wealth.
the pie that is being kept at by the elite, by the aristocratic elite, you have to dance to their tone. You have to sing their praises to be able to get some of those. So in the case of Henry Pedro Costa, to be honest with you, someone that I had, in the past, have some admiration for his vociferous criticism of the government. But little did I know that there was something to it. So what was to it was, his ambition to become vice president of the Republic of Liberia. Once that ambition did not materialize, so he's back to the CDC where he said he was before. He was somewhere else, and now back with the CDC. And then when something doesn't go right, he's going to come right back again. This man has called George Weah all kinds of names, and this is the reason why there's revulsion in the CDC. There's heavy criticism for him. Elvis was on this show a couple of nights ago that says something like they don't accept him. So to your question, it's greed. Is the idea that once you get into this kind of thing, that you're going to get rich quick, that you're going to be able to be somebody. Then it's when
wealth distribution.
Mr. Blamo, if I can just come here
one
minute.
second, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Sharif, and I want you to end with historically. If you put on your historical cap now, has it been this way, or when we started having this level of flip flopping?
You will have a level of migration. I have to. Good question. I have to put that cap on. But you will have a wave of migration once the PRC took over. You had a wave of migration of the TWP people who masqueraded now, and they came under the wings of the NDPL, and all of a sudden the old guards were now the you know, the new NDPL people, and some of the guys who were with originally, you know, they were despondent at some of those kind of things. Like you have the Samuel Dwelly Hills and stuff like that, individuals like that, and you have individuals like Emma Harmon. You know, guys who assisted the old regime were now part of the old regime, were now part of the new regime, as if nothing happened. So you've had that, you know, in during that era. But this stuff goes back. If you know, if you look at Liberian history, but the most recent I can think of is the mass migration of all the TWP people who were looking for a new home, and the home that they were looking for was with the NDPL, which was the only powerful political party at the time. So, you know, laying the basis for this era now, you then have, you know, some of those NDPL people who formed the core of Taylor's political party once they knew. So you saw, I mean, we've had people on this show who said they walked to Taylor. They went without dress. They went to Taylor and Banga and pledged their support and stayed there with Taylor until Taylor
for
became
money.
So you
Wealth.
had these people.
Wealth.
You had these people who have done this kind of thing, and what do we go back to? We always come back to the fact that the Republic of Liberia, public service in the Republic of Liberia, is the most lucrative thing to do. I mean, you work hard for your money. You go out there, work hard. You know, your you know, 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. I don't know if they you know, they respect that kind of culture in Liberia. You're a poor teacher in some rural town, you know, places, you know, behind Zouadri, places like Putu and what have you. You're a poor little teacher. It takes you 3 to 4 months, Dennis, for you to get 1 month pay. But come up to Monrovia and get lucky, you know, work in the executive mansion. You are wealthy. You're going to be building skyscrapers and whatnot. And so, as long as this is going on, we're going to have individuals like this.
Yeah, but Dennis, I think it's important. It's important. The Costa bashing. It's important to let.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not done yet.
When will you get done?
I'm not done yet. This is not your show.
I'd rather leave the show.
This is not your show. Are you the moderator?
Conclude, Mr. Sharif, so that Gonglo can come in. Just conclude your thought.
I mean, he's very disruptive. You know, he's a heckler. I mean, very disruptive.
Mr. Sharif, just conclude your thought. Gonglo can come in.
Yeah, when you get your time, you can come in and speak for 2 hours. I don't care.
Now you that I can talk.
You haven't come here.
I will show to you that I can talk.
This is
please move on.
Unbecoming of you now. I
please
never
move on
this way. It's very unbecoming. Just go ahead and endorse George Weah and move on.
I don't have to endorse George Weah.
You have to.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. Mr. Gonglo, you wanted to chime in. Go ahead.
Yes. It's going to be more than a champion. I think, Sherry, we have to, when we come to this public platform, we need to be very honest with history and with ourselves and our conscience. You know, what he's talking about, let's look at the very Unity Party. Let's go back to 2011. What's that? No, 2017. Let's go to 2017 and mirror, just play some of the audio what Costa said about Bouaka when Bouaka was in the competition with Benin Nigeria with the ARP. What he said about Bouaka in Nukwe. When he coined that, he's good with words, with slogans. When he came out with the wicked ticket. Go back and read and watch and listen to some of the audios on the Costa show. How he dealt with Bouaka. In fact, in the runoff elections, when Costa came to endorse Bouaka and he came up with the Kojolo and the poison scenario, I know of a well-trained medical doctor in Liberia who is my friend, my old classmate. And she said to me, I'm not going to vote in the runoff elections. I don't want to vote for Weah, but also don't want to vote for Bouaka because Henry actually has made Bouaka look ugly to me. And he's coming out to say the man is good. I hate Bouaka now already. Then Henry has come to take his side. I'm not going to vote. And she did not vote. She said, I'm just going to sleep here on the day of election, I'm just going to go and sleep. So what will you say? And what was Unity Party people response when he tried to restore the Unity Party? There is no doubt, there is no argument. It is Henry Costa that restored the Unity Party. Bwaka, after 2017 election, he held an interview with Cyrus Badio on the Cyrus Pa show, and he said it was his loss that actually caused him the pacemaker. He said what happened in 2017 took a toll on me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was basically leaving politics.
Right.
It was Costa that actually resurrected him.
Therefore,
Costa
I want to hear the point.
So no, the argument that going to CDC is so unacceptable, but the verity that
I don't think so. It's the back and forth that we're talking about.
But it's the same thing.
I'm talking about Mohammed analysis. I'm not talking about your topic. Mohammed is saying, Mohammed is quoting others who in CDC, he's quoting ethics, he's quoting whoever the sedition he knows as rejecting. Yes, Evans expressed that. I agree. But what's about the United Party people? Some were resentful of Costa in 2017 runoff elections.
You're saying nothing new. I don't know what the point you're making. What's your point?
Hold on, Sharif.
What's your point?
The point I'm making is what the both sides, the CDC and the Costa, there is a market for Costa. That's why he will be there. Because the United Party people embrace him, they call him hero, they call him names, they give him titles, they give him accolades. In fact, Costa could just say, I want 2,000 people on Broad Street. He sat right here in Delaware. And he said, Justina Taylor is at Catholic Hospital now. I want you guys to surround the hospital. The police is going to arrest him. She should not leave the whole place. He sat here and orchestrated the police and prevented the police in Monrovia, more than 7,000 nautical miles away, and prevented the LeBron police from arresting Justina Taylor. Okay? He did. And he was the hero, the darling of the Unity Party.
Dennis, can you ask your question again? He didn't understand your question.
I'm responding to you. I'm not responding to the question. I'm responding
to Dennis's question.
Please
That's
respond
better.
to the question, Mr.
That's better. Yeah.
I think
the man responded.
In my opening, I said, it's a market
for
behavior. Is going to continue to happen. And I also said, as long as our voters continue to vote in the way they vote, it creates a market. Okay? It means Corruption King Kong, Ellis Tyler, can take his money to Bombing County, one of the impoverished counties in Liberia, and say, hey, I want to be your senator again, even though I've stolen enough money from you that I got your poor when I was your representative. I can be your senator, in fact, so I can steal more money. Yes, some of the loot I have, boom, is back in the legislature. As long as our voters behave that way, it creates a market. Okay? So you're going to have that. So why it requires now is, and I don't know how we're going to do it, and I don't know where it's going to end.
Talk about Mr. Gonglo, if I may, you are putting, Mr. Gonglo, I'm hearing you trying to put the greater responsibility on the voters.
And the
why if one argue that it's the policy makers who are creating this move? Because these individuals, though voted by the political parties, by the voters, right? They are also welcomed by the political party leaders, isn't it?
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Take for example Joe Bwaka. Joe Bwaka said, I can dance with the devil. I will go to PYJ. I don't care what PYJ has said about me. Whether I'm a dead man walking, whether I squander, whether I'm this, whether in fact there is a new video circulating in the Nima community where PYJ is sitting down in the audience in one village to Georgia and he's saying Joe Bwaka went to one village, I think BA2 or whatever. There is a tradition there when they blow the horn on you, you become president. But they blew the wrong horn on Joe Bwaka, and Joe Bwaka would never be. And it's always.
That's why President Johnson is listed among the flip floppers.
No, but what did Joe Bwaka say? He created a market for PYJ. He said, I can dance with the devil. That's my argument. As long as some politicians create a market and the voters also go in sync with that, then there is a market and the guys will, of course, there is a demand for the commodity, there is a demand for the skill, and they're gonna buy it. And that's what is happening. That's my argument. So
Yes.
Mohammed can sit here and
Thank you.
put
Let me go to
his
Mr.
argument
Saleh.
because he's a black man. Hey man, your old man said you dance with the devil. He created a
Dennis,
market.
Dennis,
Hold
Dennis,
on,
uh,
Sheriff.
Dennis,
The old man also said there are many devils in the forest.
Dennis,
All the
before I fall,
departments can go
before I,
black because he's the
before I
only
fall
one who
asleep,
has
please.
declared openly. I can dance with
Let
the
me
devil.
go to Mr. Salif. He's been quiet.
Agman, my brother, forgive me. You know, I don't usually do this to you, but please.
Go for it. Go for it. I
please,
see
will
some
you-
of my time. Yes.
Thank you, my brother. You're a good brother.
I'm not
So,
done yet, though.
you know,
I'm not done yet.
I'm really,
Sherry, I'm not
I'm
done
really
yet.
okay. Agman, I'll give it back to you.
I'm
All
not
right.
Yeah,
done
but
yet.
The man is afraid. He's afraid.
Well,
he's
Dennis,
afraid of
you are the
this.
moderator,
but
so it's
Dennis,
The
you
moderator
can't
is
lie.
not doing anything with Gonglo.
You can't lie, Salif.
Mr. Sharif, please. Gonglo, end your thoughts. You have 15 more
So
seconds.
I will end my thought on here, and I'll restate what I've said earlier. Joseph Boaka is one of the politicians that created the demand, the market for the council behavior. Like he went and opened it. He actually put a bid out there for the best flip flopper. He said, "I'm ready to dance with the devil, so you'll come." So Yahweh, Ray Johnson was the first biggest flip flopper, and he jumped there. So you have the other deplorable. Nathan, Joshua, born naked, killer, murderer, mass murderer, George, Joshua Bly, join him. Okay, so you can go there. Ellis Tyler, another corruption, King Kong. So all of them lined up and they started to go to Boyka because he created a market. In fact, he put an open invitation.
Do you know what
I
15
wonder-
seconds is?
Mr. Sherry, you gotta not make this personal.
Do you know what 15 seconds is? Please, look, Dennis, I
I
don't know.
don't know 1 minute because we don't have 15 seconds in my
Mr. Sharif, hold on,
Mr.
Mr.
Sherry, let him man learn. Let him man learn.
Mr. Sharif.
we're having we should have
Yeah, is this my time now?
No.
It was Agman. Actually, asked my
It's
brother.
Salif time.
Sherry,
Once
take
my-
on it.
Hold your thought. It's
and
Salif
once my
time.
brother,
Mr.
and once-
Blamo, please.
yeah, he's another heckler. That's how the CDC people are. So once my brother gave me the time, Gongo came back and, you know, look, I was falling asleep with all this explanation. There's a market for this, there's this and that for it. This is so weak. I mean, market for, we'd already talked about this. Liberia is a whole market. There's a whole market for that kind of stuff. I mean, people are flipping back and forth and they're getting wealthy. Yes, there's a market for it. You're not talking to elementary students here. We know there's a market for it. Grown folks who have a job, some of them have real jobs. You know, some of them have jobs here in America. Some of them have some kind of job in Liberia. But what Dennis's question is, what is leading to all of this? I mean, people are flipping back and forth like 5 to 6 times. You know, you call Boaka certain kind of names back then, you know, like Gonglo said. We know that. But then why do you come back again to say this is the best person and George Weah is poo-poo platoon? George Weah is a four-legged animal. George Weah is a cow. You know, George Weah is a womanizer. Of course. You think I don't know all of this? George Weah is the biggest womanizer. But then when you go back to him,
Dennis, the man is repeating those things.
you go back to that individual. When you go back to that individual.
Costa said Boyka is a womanizer.
You go back to the individual. You go back to the same individual that you lambasted, that you insulted for 4 years, for the better part of 4 years. Then who are you?
Right.
Who
So,
are you?
so Mr. Sharif, what Gonglo is saying is Costa did the same thing to Boakai and he went to Boakai.
He did the same to Boakai and he went to
Boakai and
Boakai
Boakai accepted him.
and Boakai accepted him. So
Yeah.
Boakai and all of these people are part of that problem. Nobody is saying that they're not part of the problem. Boakai, George Weah, and all these people, they are part of that problem. They're accepting these individuals. You know, when people like this come over to them, they're accepting them. And if it happens again in the next election, there are markets for it. They're going to accept him as
Ahmed,
well.
Prophet
He
Key
is
endorsed Waka
dancing
also. Prophet
around.
Key has
He
endorsed
is
Waka. So what you make of it? Prophet Key
Dennis.
endorsed
Please
Waka.
control this show.
No, but
We cannot do this.
Sherry,
Thank you.
you
We cannot
say
do
the
this.
same thing.
Let
He
me let me
can't.
go
He
to
can't. He
Mr.
can't do. He can't. And he can't. He can't come here and do this. Acting this way with Blamo. Acting like the CDC people that they are. I mean, that's where Gunglo is going to. Why don't you come here and endorse George Ware, who's assaulted university students, and then live with the consequence? Your brother went out there and did a half-hearted endorsement. So come on and do the same if you want to do that.
Point out information. Or Dennis, let
So
me give this information to Sherry. Ambassador Bwaka. In fact, I was in the first 10 of President Salif at the time. Ambassador Bwaka as vice president and President Salif as president of
Why
the
you keep
Republic
calling him
of
ambassador?
Liberia. They were there when they ordered the police to brutalize the University of Liberia students. The date. In fact, I authored that communication. I drafted it for Sama Kofi Woods to sign to the president of Liberia, expressing his dismay at the treatment of the government the treatment of
But you're
students by the
supporting a
government.
thief now.
Why
You're
God did not
supporting a
author a
thief.
war? So as
Thank you.
far as
You're supporting
Hold
a
on,
thief.
hold on, guys. I don't want us to make it.
as far
This
as
is
yes,
not.
You're
Mr.
supporting
Gongo,
far as
Mr.
a
Gongo,
thief.
as
Mr.
far as
Gongo,
militants
Mr. Gonglo, let me
Mr. Gongo, Mr. Gongo. This is not Bwaka versus Wea. Let me
right.
go to Salif.
Let's have a
Yeah,
elevator
let me go to
conversation
Mr.
here,
Salif. Mr. Salif,
gentlemen.
is it
Yeah.
unique to Liberia, or is it? Are we at the extreme here?
We are at the extreme. It's not unique to Liberia. What we lack, and sometimes when we are very blunt and direct about the challenges we have in our country, sometimes people misunderstand us. They think that we are condescending upon our country, we're condescending upon our people, and we're saying, we are impugning the character of the country and we're driving people away. No, completely to the opposite. We're trying to make the country better. What we lack is true leadership. You see, you have leadership, and you have these grave seekers. You have these, people who are really truly there to participate in this welfare state system that they've created. That's all about personal aggrandizement. What do I get? I mean, think about this. The way people do electoral politics, for example, they practically buy the seats, right? You truck people, you pay people, you incentivize people to risk their lives, go and register in communities where they don't live. By that action, they are helping to make decisions to elect a terrible candidate in a community where they don't live, where they have no investment other than no interest or no vested interest other than them being Liberians themselves in common with all Liberians. Every part of Liberia is ours equally, right? But if you're talking about which county, which electoral district you're from, we move people around. Just think about that. And then they act, they say, well, I built a bridge for you, I built a well, I did this, I gave you t-shirt, I brought bags of rice. And they distribute money around like we're seeing now in these second round endorsements and negotiations and so on. It's all money that's going around. What we need is true leaders and true leadership. Leaders have vision. They have bold vision. They inspire people. They instill hope, not fear, in the people, and they show their people a clear roadmap for where they believe they can take the country by building a competent, strong team of fellow citizens, inclusive system of governance, regardless your tribe, your religion, where you come from, the shade of your color. You are a Liberian citizen as long as you have abilities, you have skills, you have some kind of competence for the appropriate role. That's what we should be looking for. If you have that context, Dennis, some of the big picture questions I raised earlier, will take care of a lot of these problems. So, for example, you have a better and thriving society. It will not be a wealthy, prosperous, middle income, upper middle income society, but you have a society where professions like medicine, like law, like engineering, like teaching, education, all sorts of business, entrepreneurship opportunities will exist, and they will thrive. You'll have a robust financial system. I'm not talking about just banks and so on. True financial system, opportunities where people can invest, people can grow money, and there will be other means of wealth and living and prestige. But if the only means of prestige, the only means of wealth is on the public system, you have what we have.
So do you agree with Mr. Gonglo that the market has been created?
Yes, there is a market now, but that market is in context. Now, Gonglos, so yes, there's a market. A market in a sense we are victims of our own circumstances. We are victims of our own creation. We've created this beast. We do not know how to extricate ourselves from it. Look, by extension, it has impacted our morality, even, right? We can be dishonest. That's why we have no problem insulting someone, being vitriolic about this person, and they could be speaking the truth. Take a Henry Costa, for instance. When doing President Sirleaf time, he was on the radio. Now you've seen ailes of the president, we as the administration spoken out about it. All of a sudden, we realize this man is all really about himself.
And Comrade Sharif, if I may, do you think if our leaders were themselves good examples in the first place, shaming bad behaviors and rejecting bad actors, there will not be something that is at this level it is?
Yeah, and that, excellent question. I mean, you don't have leaders that show examples, and so what do you have? So the leaders themselves probably have done this, a couple of times before, and so what do you have? You have individuals, who invest in this kind of behavior, and because they do, so let's just say George Weah wins this election. Course, I guess a fabulous position. He gets paid well, right? He gets rewarded well. And so what is that telling the next child? The next person is going to do the same the next election in 2029. All you got to do is you get on the airwaves and you call someone names, all kinds of names. And then next thing you know, like some of the colleagues are saying here, he's very relevant. Then you become relevant to a segment of the Liberian society. This sort of thing, once it's acceptable, once it's accepted, then it's asked the same question. Yes, then the UP people accepted him. Boakai accepted him after he came over. And now he's left Boakai. He's gone over to George Weah. George Weah accepts him. In fact, I believe that George Weah looked for his endorsement. They sought his endorsement. They're not coming out here, putting their voices on the airwaves. They're not coming out here laying out an argument. These leaders are not doing that. George Weah is not doing that because he has no message. So what is he going to do? He's going to purchase these kind of people with money, cash, real cash. Real cash is talking right now. When was the last time you heard that ALP or whatever that party name was relevant in the Liberian political, was even relevant in Liberia? When was the last time we heard that? No, it's not relevant. But now it becomes in this election because you have one or two people talking about Henry Costa.
Thank you. And we'll name some names here. I want to come to you, Mr. Blamo. And Mr. C will help me give at least an example each of these examples of party hoppers and flip-floppers. Mr. C. And then Mr. Blamo will answer who bear the greatest responsibility for this behavior, or who is enabling it? Is it the party leaders, the partisans, or the Liberian people? Mr. C, if you can help us.
And then as I think I talk about Costa and Fagom a little bit. So let me talk about Prince Johnson. We know Prince Johnson at some point supported him on Ellen Johnson's sleeve. Usually, I think the two times he might have done that was the second the runoff, and he was with Ellen, but Ellen kept him in the back end and kept him quiet. And I'm sure he was getting what he wanted. So that paid off for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not care about what Prince Johnson did to hurt Liberian, kill Liberian. She did not care because she felt that Prince Johnson had votes that he would just deliver in her direction to maintain power. And Prince Johnson was he was benefiting significantly. So he did that for his political interest. All right. And now Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is out of the way. When Prince Johnson saw that the pendulum was tilting in the CDC favor, he went the CDC way. I was surprised after the likes of Mamba Molu chanted World Crime Code for years. Prince Johnson was at CDC headquarters, and Mamba Molu was the one who introduced Prince Johnson. At some point, the CDC even went to Nimba. George Weah picture and Prince Johnson picture appeared on the same banner. Prince Johnson was touring them a university, a killer of the first order. CDC did not care. After making noise for years, why were they doing that? Because Prince Johnson would deliver votes to them that will make them to win power so that they can be able to enjoy the wealth of our country at the displeasure and the detriment of the poor. Jeremiah Kuhn is of no exception. He was with the CDC. All right. This man was on radio, OKFN to be specific. He was talking about Joseph Boakai. Memory is completely declining and that he was in Pampers. His father is wearing Pampers. He won't want to vote for such a man. In no time, he summoned salt, to use that word. All right. And now he is the pig of Joseph Boakai for vice president. So the man went to CDC. All right. And now he's with the Unity Party. The Fadiga brothers, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were supporting.
Prince Johnson called Boakai battery total.
Yes, you are right. Then the Prince Johnson will call him Boakai or battery total. In the story that Kalebu talked about, I listening to that tape too. Prince Johnson has been vicious on Joseph Boakai. And even after he made known that he was voting for Joseph Boakai, he was caught on tape saying that this man will not be able to do the job. My son Kun will do the job. Why did he do that? It was for his own benefit, how you'll be close to power. The Faliga brothers, I think one of them was supporting the same Benina Yuri. The election did not go anywhere with Benina Yuri. As we all suspected, he was with Boakai. It didn't happen. He tilted against Weah, and the next thing he know, he was like nursing the Weah thing. It didn't work, and now he back to Joseph Boakai. I mean, what are they looking for? First. And then Cummings, thank you, Dennis. And, you know, this meant the two brothers, they took picture with Cummings too. I don't know, was it desperation or trying to be anonymous or whatever it is? He was in the middle of the two giants guys, and that pictures were flying, and they were sinking the Cummings song. And then we come to Stanton. Stanton, I mean, from nowhere, he became a media guy out of his sorting, and he was the Weah and the CDC guy. He was tilting his politics in favor of a CDC. In no time, I don't know whether something he wanted that he didn't get from the CDC, and now he was Boakai. Some people say he's the Boakai's man. I mean, J. Randy Dapo, this man have gone like 4 or 5 times back to the CDC with Cummings and then back to Weah. And then Mark Jabatel, some people call him the cow meat or politician. And, you know, he was with the CDC. He left and Boakai and left, and then why? Back to the CDC. He was giving money. I mean, they are doing this thing for what they will get at the end of the day. And not forgetting Samuel P. Jackson, the progressive who will see anybody in power, out of his friend, out of his cousin, out of his brother, for his own benefit. These people don't care about Liberia. And then here's the last part. All of these people will tell us they are advocates. They will tell you they are advocating for Liberia. But Liberia does not benefit from their advocacy when they are going back and forth and sinking praises to individuals and political parties. This is not how you advocate for your country. You got to stand for something that benefits the country. But what we see here is that they push an agenda. When that agenda succeeds, and then they benefit. This is not right. That's what they do.
Thank you. Mr. Blamo, who is enabling this kind of behavior? Is it the party leaders, the partisans, the Liberian people, or who?
As I said earlier, all this is part of the political culture. You guys have already added to it that there's a market for it. And the idea of people switching is not uncommon in politics. Personally, I think it's all part of our political growth. because the individual switch side 2 times, 3 times, to me, that's not the worst thing in Liberian politics. And people are making decisions, and their choices is their individual choices. The citizens have to look between and decide who to vote for. In Liberia, our politics is based on distribution of wealth, money, and that have it always been that way. The people that are political beings, the one factor that makes their political position desirable is the proximity to power. And our country has too much political hatred. Our level of political emotional intelligence is very limited. Our experience in competitive politics is not sufficient, and our political parties do not have clear messages and clear standards. So that makes the political culture and creates the kind of behavior in the culture. I don't really think we should condemn it just because the factor of people switching, because even in the great United States, the thing they call gerrymandering or shaded political practice to establish voting districts that give advantage to certain parties was started by great men like Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry was the man who said, give me liberty or give me death. So politics it will create this environment. The thing is we just have to ensure our institutions, our political parties are proper. But people will always go for money. And you ask Costa, now Costa have good reason why he made those switch. You ask any of those people, they have their reasons. It could be money, it could be different things. So we got to insist that the political parties that are putting themselves out there to present presidential candidates should be based on something. Right now, there is no path to succession. I can organize my party if I want to be president, and I will die there. The next person that will come could be my son or one other older man to be the next presidential candidate. There is no grassroots. There's no grassroots.
Are responsible.
The whole political culture is not based on anything structural that can change the situation right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Kalebo here. And the question here is, with everything that is happening, and you said the market, but who bears the greatest responsibility for this? Is it the party leaders who embrace and trust these people? Because someone who was causing you yesterday, today is with you, and you got him in your bedroom, like with Wakai, right? Costa was responsible for like his everything, including his medical records. So who is really enabling them, Mr. Kalebo?
I think a greater responsibility is on the politician. Okay, because politicians are on the market looking for the vote, and for us, in Liberia, I guess by extension, most African countries, we don't care about the quality of vote. They say vote has no quality. Vote is vote. A vote from the slum and the vote from Prince Avenue are the same. So they don't care whether college educated voters are coming your way, farmers are coming your way. That's the same vote. One man, one vote. So that's how they interpret. But then it's even here in the United States. Look at the situation of Barack Obama. When he was in the peak of his campaign, the cleric, the reverend who actually presided over the wedding, his marriage to Michelle Obama, I think Jeremiah Wright or something like that.
Yeah.
Because people just dug into one of his old preaching, they brought it out during the campaign. He was forced to sever his relationship with him. This is somebody that he had a very good relationship, because for you to allow a pastor to preside over your wedding, you must have a good relationship with that pastor. You will not just go to any fly by night pastor and say, come and preside over my wedding. No. So there was a good relationship with that pastor. But politics, because of what he said, his opinion in one of his preaching, caused Obama to distance himself. Do we have that? Could Joe Barker have done that? Mohammed Shariki answer me tonight. Could Joe Barker have said, Prince Johnson, Here is a video of killing, slaughtering, cutting door ears, slashing his throat. Here is the blood oozing out of his body. Prince Johnson, here is a video of you sending over RCRC worker in the night doing this. I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm not going to do this. Could he have done that? Mohammed Sharif can say, what if Joe Barker would have done that? But you know what? He came out with one slogan, and that was a very powerful slogan to explain everything. I'm ready to dance with the devil. That's what he said. Okay?
You can quote him on that, right?
They're the market for it, and they take the greater responsibility.
Thank you. On the Buakai saying I would dance with the devil, there's no record for that. Just let's be clear.
Well, there is record for that in public domain. What there is not record, there is record for that even in front page Africa. Where there is no record for it, Buakai has now refuted that story. That is the one we don't have record for. But we do have record for that quotation.
Yeah,
we do not have record for Buakai refuting that.
I mean,
And he said there are a lot of devils in the forest.
Where was Buakai when he made that statement? What was the occasion? Who heard him say it? There's no record.
Dennis, in fairness, if I come here in public and say and grant interview to one of the most leading newspaper in Liberia and say Dennis Jar is really trading on fake degree, he does not have a college education, and you, my friend, we band together and there's a fallout, and I said that about you, and he said, well, I'm educated, I don't care. Then Kelly Gonglo can say that about me. But that.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on that because I didn't see anywhere where he granted an interview and said that. Maybe somebody heard it and not refuting it shouldn't be the grounds to say, okay, this is true.
Front page Africa carried it, actually.
And who Front Page Africa?
Front page Africa reported that Buakai was reported to have said. That's not a first-hand quote. This came from reporter came through Henry Costa and other sources.
It came from Ure, not Costa.
Ure, yeah, Ure. So Ure.
They were quoting Ure in that story.
That's not. It's not an objective record to say that. Because when you say there's record of it, that's
it's a record in the newspaper.
This was granted. There was a press interview granted to the press in public domain, and the record never refuted. You know what?
Okay, they refuted. I get your logic.
Action speaks louder than words. Okay,
all right. Mr. Calabo, that's okay. There are a lot of things.
Because I'm gonna push me a little bit. One professor said, "What appears to be is more important than what ought to be." Here, Waka Asher is consistent with his statement. So whether you refute or not, we believe his action.
All right. I hope the same rope you're using to tie bamboo, you use it to tie monkey. Mr. Salif,
yeah,
we're still talking about who's enabling this kind of behavior, or more, if we put it that way. I know there are blames to go on blended sides, but who bears the greater responsibility in this kind of behavior?
Oh, Dennis, I mean, when we look at it, sort of the instrumentality of it, if you look at the practicality of it, you know, the who has the wherewithal or what kind of culture have we cultivated for ourselves? The culprits are everywhere, right? Who's responsible for this? This is a desire for people to live comfortably off of the public purse. Okay, that's really what's responsible. Now, there are actors who promote this, whose behavior, whose lack of leadership, who who haven't disabused themselves of this kind of life and practice. And so who's enabling it? You can point to any corrupt politician in the country. This runoff it's just a clear lesson to us, right? We know that similar things have happened several times when people receive envelopes. Like if I can follow Calebo's logic, the things have been reported in the media, whether it's social media, TV, or on the radio somewhere, some speculation that somebody got 100,000, 40,000, 50,000, therefore they're behaving this way. So while you heard the grapevine, all of a sudden the person starts to act out. They say, well, Costa was paid $200,000 to come and lambast Barker, to insult Barker now, to put all the secrets the private conversation they held together. And we see Costa showing text messages, very private, what seems to be private conversations out in the public. Although we weren't there, we weren't privy of that, but the rumors that we got was this was the setup, right? So who's enabling that in this context? You say, whoa, I mean the CDC, the political actors, all the parties that have wanted individuals like these to come on their side so that they can change public perceptions, they can sway people's minds and things like that. That's what's enabling this. The you know the legislators who take money, as I said in the beginning, public funds appropriate for themselves, and take that money to citizens, and bribe people around and buy their votes and don't return to do development work. They are responsible for this. The culture, the society that lacks opportunities for young people are encouraging for this. The society, any society that accepts very low standards as some, and that's complacent, is responsible for this. Other societies, let me tell you, in Nigeria, we know Nigeria to be notorious for to be a corrupt society. Yes, Nigerian government, you can look at them to say, well, this is an epitome of sort of what we see in African corrupt societies. Yes, however, that's a very highly educated society where they are corrupt, but they actually know what they're doing. They're developing their country. They're doing things. There's a lot of poverty. Don't get me wrong. There's like electricity problems, a major, but because they have a large population and a vast country, some of what they're bedeviling them are bedeviling other countries like US and other places. But the point I'm making there is there are industries, there are trades, the professions that people young, you go to college with somebody, you graduate, they want to go to public service in Nigeria. You think the person wants to be poor. Really, seriously, because you want to start a business to become a multi-millionaire, legitimate business. That's what people go after. So you have a society that elites can turn to different avenues to live comfortably, to invest, to travel, and do all the things that our elites, our politicians only do on the back of public funds, stolen public funds, plundering the resources that they ought to have been using to develop the country and the society. That's what's responsible.
Larry Kennedy, he is a host here on FOL Marketplace. As long as there is a market, buyers for propagandists, you will have sellers. Drug users make the drug dealers. Therefore, the buyers are to blame. The election is void of discussing the issues. Imagine no presidential debate. It's all about personalities. It's turned into a sideshow and circus. It benefits the ruling party, which did not create jobs or increase foreign direct investment. Blame the people who enjoy gossip over substantive issue. Mr. Sharif, added to that is
I agree with Larry 100%.
In a way, Larry is really stating my thesis. I mean, Larry is speaking to substance. Larry is speaking to governance. Like when you have Larry is speaking to leadership that I started with earlier on. When you have leadership, what does it do? It attracts foreign direct investment. It provides an enabling environment where entrepreneurship will thrive. It will create an environment where people are held accountable. That public service is truly for the sake of public service. It's not self-service. And so if you lack all of that, the ingredient you see is what I think Larry is observing so accurately so.
So, Mr. Sharif, what also is when these people come back, such a person who was insulting just yesterday, who was using including lies. Why is it that these leaders are accepting them into their personal spaces? They are not even at arm's length. Who is deceiving who here? Or everybody's just playing everybody? For instance, we see now Costa is with Weah after 6 years of insults and everything against the Weah government. Weah who have run away from the country based on the politics of Henry Costa. Now he's there and they are buddy again. And at the expense, the sedition will say, of those who have been with Weah. What really is responsible for that behavior?
And George Weah is stealing the Liberian people money and handing it over to, paying the likes of Henry Costa to get closer to him, because there's something in politics. You want to keep your enemies very close. You want to keep your enemies close to you, in Liberian politics, at least. You want to keep
closer.
You want to bring them closer so they're not saying those nasty things about you. We've seen time and again that has happened. I just want to go back to something Mr. Blamo keep referring to the United States. I mean, gerrymandering and stuff like that. Let's stop throwing out these words. And gerrymandering is not flip-flopping. And Gonglo mentioned, Jeremiah Wright, Obama flip-flopping. That's not flip-flopping. These are different experiences, different situations. So let's come back to
Dennis, if you accuse us, we have to respond.
Then you come back.
Okay, all right.
Excuse me.
It's okay to reference one another, though. In intellectual debate, you can feed off of other.
It does not know intellectual debate.
In reference one another, that's not.
So that's the issue.
But
so the issue that we have,
Mr. Sharif, let's be careful now.
The issue that we have is that I don't know if you're giving me the floor or what this heckling and all of that, and I'm hearing Mr. Sharif. So what do I do? What do I do in this situation now? This is awful. This is awful. I didn't come here, when I'm supposed to be doing something else. I didn't come here, to have. I'm here as a professional, as someone who knows what they're talking about, to contribute to something meaningful. I didn't come here for some other motive. I have no other motive but to contribute to a very professional discussion, a discussion that hopefully will contribute, to our process. But if we're not having the time to have this kind of discussion, everybody has had their time. I've waited, I think it's only me and Ahmed that's waiting tonight, and the rest of the guys just, these two guys from the CDC are leaning people, they're just disrupting this whole discussion. So if that's the case, then I can sit back and just watch these two guys go on. If that's what I'm called for.
No, Mr. Sharif, go ahead and make your point. Don't sit back.
So again, what is the question now? What's the question?
Yeah, you answered the question, and you were responding to
what is the question?
So Mr. Gongo, what he said was
disrupting, like we're in. It looks like I'm in the 5th grade again, Dennis.
Oh God.
All right. That brings me to the question of what this political. What I've observed is if you are far and Yeka Koluba, Mr. C, I think you watched that clip, made a point that people that are, even with his proximity to Mr. Bwaka has never visited him, although he has been through problems and he has been defending them, nobody came to his aid. So it appears to me that people that are with these politicians, they really don't care about them much. Then the enemy outside, or the person who is heckling them from outside, as we can see, they are always embracing someone who has been cursing them for the past 2 years, then catering to the needs of the people they have around them. Mr. C.
That is, Yeke has a point there, but Yeke is a disgraced lawmaker in our country. The things that come from Yeke's mouth dishonor our existence as a country. It's just as an embarrassment that I don't know how to pull it. When Yeke uses the word embarrassment more than any other politician that I've seen, and he's just a symbol of embarrassment. What kind of man represents a group of people, a district. He is supposed to be a leader in our country. Think about the things that come from his mouth. And then when you talk about Yeke being a bad example in our country, people say, well, Yeke has all reason to behave the way he's behaving. And I tell them, no, no. Think about men like Dr. Martin Luther King. Blacks in the country, the US, United States of America, being lynched, police sending dogs on humans. All right. Our sisters and mothers being raped, people being beaten, people working without pay, people being incarcerated on lies. Yet, Martin Luther King, with all that pain and grief in his heart for his people, never one day insulted anybody. Gandhi comes to mind. All right. When the people of India were being enslaved, were being dehumanized by the British, he advocated for their right. He wanted freedom for them. He never insulted the British. This is politics. He claims to be a politician and just little politics here and there. And so he goes off and insults and becomes a horrible example for people. And some people cheer for him. I just wanted to make that point. Yes, Yeke has a point. Why are these politicians not identifying with the ones who are standing with them? They don't even count them as anything, but those who badmouth them, those who denigrate them, are the ones they are looking out for, as though those ones as their saviors. It brings me to the point that these people are just bad examples for themselves. They don't have morals anyway. They are desperate for power. I don't know why are they not good examples anyway. If Joseph Walker had not entertained Costa in 2017 when Costa somersaulted, Costa will have no reason to go back to Joseph Walker. What did this man didn't say about Joseph Walker? But Joseph Walker, in a desperation for power, accepted this man who became a bad example, who denigrated him and made him a hero. He welcomed him in his bedroom. And now he turns around and telling him, well, I did this for him, I did this for him. Joseph Walker is responsible. The same can be said about President Weah. The same can be said about Cummings. What are some people who took part in the war and welcomed them in his midst because he wants to be president? This is beyond belief that our leaders will not stand for morals, all right? But they will just accept anybody close to them under these guys that, well, they're trying to build a big thing and what have you. There are more Liberians who are good citizens than these people who have become bad examples in our midst. And we expect our leaders to shame these people, to let these people stay away from them so that they can tell the young ones that this is how you behave when you are a leader. But Dennis, the greater responsibility is on the leaders, the political leaders for that matter. They welcome these people and give them platform for them to do the things they do. I mean, look at somebody like Prophet Key who insult. Joseph Walker accepted an endorsement from somebody who goes live and insult women. He accepted his endorsement. He should have rejected that. But will he? No. Why is he accepting that or he knowing that? Because he wants to be president at all costs. This is shameful, and our leader bear the greatest responsibility.
And that's the point Calebo was making with Jeremiah Wright, that Obama disowned him, and so Walker should have done the same with Prince Johnson. That was the point he was making.
Thank you. I want to clarify because Mohammed.
Yeah, no, I clarify for you.
Because Mohammed has Walker here, he doesn't hear anymore.
All right, I clarify that. Okay, we're going to open the phone lines, but before I bring in the callers, how do we move forward? Because these kind of people, they have sometimes the biggest platform. When I criticize Costa, someone said, hey, this man is so powerful. He was in Delaware. He organized 7,000 persons. This person did this. How do we move forward? How do we liberate our country from the yoke of these flip-floppers, people that lack credibility because someone is selling something, so they're buying it? How do we move forward? I don't think Blambo said this is okay. This is growth. So let me start with Mr. Salif, how we move forward. And callers, please get ready. The number to call is on the screen, 605 313-6004. The code is 791403. Let's talk about the way forward.
Dennis, there are a lot of upright, upstanding uh, citizens and Liberians in Liberia and outside of Liberia that are doing good work, who have ethics, who are good leaders. Um, there are more good people in Liberia than there are bad and horrible people. So it's not all doom and gloom. There are people in our various sectors, institutions that may have, whose voices may have been drawn out, by the noisemakers and the unethical ones and the power-hungry, graver-seeking, self-serving, aggrandizing individuals who have loud mouths all over the place. There are good Liberians, professionals, experts in Liberia. I mean, I used to say my little daughter went to Liberia, and she didn't stay long. Then some of the places she saw and things she heard, she'll be asking questions all the time about different things in Liberia, and I would say to her, Liberia is a whole country. It's not that one thing you saw, that one experience you had, and that it's a big country. Not as big as the United States, but I think I was trying to impress upon the child that a whole country has a lot of good in it. It has challenges, it has unpleasant things, it has unethical things, yet it has it's a mosaic of sort, right? And there are many good people there. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this that yes, our task at hand is complicated. So sometimes it seems impossible almost. Sometimes it seems as if we're unable to extricate ourselves from the mess in which we are to be able to make progress. But the way we get out of this is to keep engaging in civic dialogues and conversations as we're doing. Is to keep working. Is keep supporting those who are the outliers or of goodness, of ethics, of uprightness, who are calling for good citizenship. Because citizenship comes with responsibilities. Citizenship is a two-sided coin. You have rights, but you also have obligations, right? And so you exercise your citizenship rights and obligations equally so that you become a citizen in good standing.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I believe that's how we get at this. We keep supporting and encouraging moderate voices, better voices, decent conversations, calling, even if we think at times that nobody will listen to us, we may be sounding too naive to be calling for institutionalism, to be calling for rule of law, to be calling against impunity and trying to score out corruption. Some people saying there's no such thing as corruption. Where's your evidence for corruption? What are you talking about corruption? You're impugning your country's character. Unborn children, you're saying, oh, they're all corrupt. It may seem, those kinds of voices, it may seem that, listen, this is a lost cause. It's fait accompli. You can't do anything about this, but we can do something about it. Let us not give up. Liberia can turn around. It can make progress.
Thank you, Mr. Blambo. Just 1 minute to respond to that also, because we have the callers that been waiting so long. So just briefly, how do we move forward?
I support what the speaker said, that we should continue the dialogue and we shouldn't be discouraged. The deteriorating social welfare and living standards of our people is something that is serious. So even though we are voting, but we should not discourage them. We should be open to people individual choices, whether they make them 2 times or 3 times. We just have to talk about it so that they can be grounded in their decision-making processes. And we should see elections not as an event, but as a process. So every election we grow as a people. So I think that we continue the dialogue, that how we get out of it. But the individual right is sacred. It should be respected. Whether you make that decision 3 times or 4 times. that is right to make the decisions.
Thank you. Let me bring on the callers now. The first caller here is Elijah Washington. Elijah, you have a minute.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. Before I say what I want to say, I want to give a shout out to Ahmed. Ahmed, I have a great respect for you. Most of the time when you on the show, you address the issue. You talk about issues, and I want to give a shout out to you today. And to Sherry also has I like him. We talk about the issue. The other thing is that he's combative. That's the only difference. So, but I think he also talks about the issue. But what I want to talk about today is that I want to agree with
Shalib is from the southeast.
Oh, is he? Okay, so I think it's about political relevance and group, as Sherry said. So
no, I was just kidding. Southeasterners are not combative people.
Yeah, so I'm also from the Southeast, by the way. So I think it's political. I think it's political relevance. People trying to stick in our country, and also the next thing is greed. But, in the 80s, if you wanted to get relevance, take a gun, go do a coup, and then you get relevance, and then you can get some money. After the 80s, when we got into the 90s, when Charles Peter's died, it was forming these these rebel groups. When you form a rebel group, you get some relevance, everybody get to know you, and then you start getting some money. How people got to know people. Now, after the election, there's a political evolution. There's a cultural evolution here now. The way to get relevance in our country is to start insulting the power that be. Start insulting them, telling all kinds of things. Then people will get to know you. So when Ellen got to power, you saw people like Moluba Molu and Gray. That's what they were doing. So people started siding with them. They were the heroes at that time. And after they left, then you start having Prophet Key, Costa, all these guys. Now, they want to get political relevance. It's also about greed. They want to get something. Now, who's responsible for these things? These political actors. They are the ones. They are afraid that when it comes to these political, when these people come to their political party, they say, okay, they want to get something. And if they don't get it, they go to the next political party because they think that they're going to get something. So they keep flip-flopping because they think they're going to get something. So they get there, they don't get what they want, they go back. And after a while, and because now with the social media, people are gullible. They can go get some videos, get some information, lies, fake news, just put it out there. Everybody, this guy knows what he's talking about. Then he now becomes the hero. He now becomes the intellectual. He's talking all these things. People get to know them. Now they go to this political party and say, hey, I have things on your leader. Give me some money. If you don't get this money, then go to the next person. That's the way it keeps going.
Thank you.
So how do we start that? These political actors need to take a stand. I mean, if I'm a politician, I need to take a stand. Like, hey, this is not going to happen in our party. If you're going to insult people like CSR, you actually don't man a perfect key. Somebody who's insulting, or even just a cool about. What do you want to bring in closer to your party? I mean, why people going to think about you as a leader if you're going to take this kind of people and bring them on your team? So yeah, if someone is going to insult people and going to tell lies, hey, we don't want you in our party. If you're going to lose the election, let us lose the election. But we don't want people like you. And I think that's the way this kind of things are going to start.
Thank you.
Because people just know everything to go, it's not happening. So I think the way I'm doing.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you. We got more people. Evans now has turned to one cry baby. You always crying. I'm on the phone long. Evans, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live.
I think you let the Punisher waiting for 30 minutes before killing.
No, it's 10 minutes. You waited for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was for 10 minutes. I exaggerated my last. I was for 10 minutes. But look, it's simple. If any of you trading stocks, you know that when the stock is ripe, that's when you cash it in to get your dividend. These people are looking at the political stock. This is the highest point that they can get the highest dividend, for their to cash in the political stock. It's during election season when it becomes very useful and very, important to the politicians. But I want to take a look at Joseph Boyka, this man who says he's an integrity person. Mr. Jolly, all your parables you can be making me, I know parables.
Or I know one old parable, they say, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. The people he surrounds himself with are not people, for the most part, are not people who are paragons of integrity.
They all do it, right? We are surrounding ourselves with people coming.
So why do we try to single out Joseph Boyka to be this man of integrity when we say that he do the same thing that the quote unquote corrupt people do? Why can't we put him in the same boat with the George Weah?
But you are now separating him. Why don't you put him in the same boat with everybody?
I'm separating him because people try to make him like a
who's the people?
sacred cow.
Who the
when
people?
People say the man have integrity, the unity part of the people he support us. When they say he
right, the same way that we are supporters, the coming supporters. So just say
nobody ever said President Weah is a person who has the highest integrity. We know he has his flaws. Nobody said that. So that's why we don't hold President Weah to some kind of unattainable standards.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yes. But secondly, let me just point something that Mr. Sharif pointed out. I think he's a well-learned man. He knows international studies. But when it comes to in Nigeria, they call it carpet crossing. When it comes to carpet crossing, there's nobody that does it more than Nigerians. Bola Saraki, who was the former president of the Senate, who went from PDP to APC. You look at somebody like Dino Melai, who was from PDP, went to APC, is now back to PDP running for governor in Kogi State. You look at somebody like Festa Keyamo, who was from PDP, went to APC, now that, So people cross-carpet a lot in Nigeria. It's an African thing. People go to where they will be most accommodated, if it's politically advantageous and even, financially beneficial to them, they do it. Politics in Africa is about money. It's where you feel the most comfortable, where who will accommodate you the most, and that's where you go. When people see the tide turning, they try to, like Kweku said, they try to hang their clothes where the sun is shining, and that's what a lot of these guys are doing. Nobody wants to be on the losing side because they know that more than likely we will win these elections. So they put in their clothes so the sun shine from so we can dry their wet clothes. So the reality is, somebody like Costa, we don't accept him. I don't accept him. I'm just one voice who supports President Weah, but as you saw in Liberia, a lot of citizens do not accept him because they look at him as a crook, as somebody who will sell his soul for money, somebody who is looking for influence by all means, and they know that he's not principled.
Or somebody who will take their place because they want that spot.
Even Fagon, Sedition will accept Fagon more so than Henry Costa because he actually did work for the CDC. He actually did some blood and sweat and tears for the CDC government. Costa has never been a bona fide sedition. He's just a mouthpiece. You do talking, you don't do actual work. But thank you for the show. I just want to make those points. I'll pass the mic to somebody else. Thank you.
And that's Flomo Livingstone. Flomo, you're live. Quickly, please.
Yeah, great show, man. For me, I'll blame the politician. They take the major blame for this. Go across the board. Thank you again, Mr. Sharif. Good show. And Ahmad, great show. You guys speak to the point. When we come to this show here, some people are obsessed with certain individuals on a political party. How will you say Joseph Imambaga danced with the devil, but you don't criticize Joe Weah? Joe Weah danced with the same devil before. So at this point, for me, I think the politician have the major responsibility to denounce most of the guys there, to keep them far away from them, because at the end of the day, that's what they do for the living. Because if you get someone like Henry Costa who never worked in his life, he lived in the United States, someone in their age like that who never worked on a label.
What do you mean he never work? Talk show is work, and he's getting work as a propaganda.
No, that's not a job. You don't. When I ever find e-contact for that for doing that show,
you don't have to. If you make money from it, maybe I'm not as good as Costa to really cash in from being a host here, but if you can make money from your talk show.
You can't compare FOL with one Aaron Costa. The Aaron Costa don't speak on fact. It's just a propaganda. We just go where the wind.
That's his job. Maybe that's his job.
That's not his job. For me, that's not his job.
Okay, go ahead.
Never worked throughout your life. You never worked throughout your life. That's not his job. You just live on people. You go to the place, you criticize the person. When you see the gravy on the side, you go there, you go eat, and just like that. No, that's not. So for me, there's no integrity. But for me, like you said, I blame most of the politicians.
Thank you.
They embrace most of the guys there. Thank you for the show today.
Thank you. Lawrence Pearson, you're live.
Yeah, Dennis. Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you for having me. Hi to Sharif, to Salif, to Blamo, to Gonglo. You all had a very good show tonight. I want to appreciate you for that. And CA, I mean, good analysis, Anthony. Good analysis on those flip-flappers. But let me just say this, right? When I look at the conversation tonight, I see basically from all of what we're saying, I see basically three primary situations that's happening in Liberia that got people flip-flopping from the top all the way to the bottom. That's poverty, which of course Blamo referred to as wealth. And we got bad leadership. All of you have already mentioned that. And then we have the issue of political immaturity. And I will tell you why. Look, poverty is the very reason why, even when I was at the University of Liberia, from Samuel Doe regime all the way to Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and to President George Weah, the student body has always been manipulated for little or nothing. All right, and people grow out of that university in green in that very flip-flopping we're talking about. And they carry the very same thing that they got into any political, higher political play. Then when it comes to bad leadership, Dennis, to be very frank with you, right? All of what we're talking about this flip-flopping, like Anthony C. said, if the leaders of the political parties will not accept people that do not have the integrity that is necessary for their own integrity that they want to project out there as good leaders, we need to have these things happening in Liberia. All right. And the last thing is the issue about the political maturity. I know when I said it, some people say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Look, is that because you work in government or how long the Benin government means you are politically mature? A lot of people surrounding boycott, a lot of people surrounding our political leaders right now as we speak, a lot of them do not have the political maturity to see ahead, to advise them critically. Imagine Henry Costa coming on international media to mention that Joseph Boyka, who is projecting to be the change for tomorrow, is receiving money from not only an indicted, but a confirmed criminal who wealth is considered to be ill-gotten, to the extent that it endangers the lives of Americans here. And the Americans are trying to curb these things happening at Bureau. Then Joseph Boyka again, aligned with Prince Johnson, someone with U.S. Treasury sanctions and on record for war crimes, major war crime situation. So where is the maturity? And then I close by saying, if you can just permit me, the Costa situation is dynamic in a sense that I don't think Costa will be doing what he's doing if that did not have a thought out. And I'm not saying Joseph Boyka should have rewarded him the presidency. We are aware that Costa had already announced that he would have run for senator. Costa had intended to run for senator until all the talking started to come about, and then people felt that his name was in the hat for vice presidential thing, so he tried to up towards it. But can you imagine Joseph Boyka did not have the political material to lay ball down, knowing pretty well how much that labor knows, how far they've gone. To say, you know what, he wanted to be a senator. And if you want to go for senator, we can use our political influence to give you that role in the Unity Party going forward. But they gave that role for the senatorial position to Wilmot Pay. And Wilmot Pay left the UP and went to Casella. Wilmot Pay fell out of Casella and came back and he's trying to find somewhere to hang for a political career. And then they gave that spot to Wilmot Pay. And then Costa got left out of everything. So you wouldn't poverty being a factor, violence being a factor. Of course, you have one political immaturity. Costa cannot even see beyond the fact that people have kept quiet and look towards a better future, looking at the integrity you are getting the international community, the Anthony said.
Thank you.
He has damaged that repetition and integrity.
Thank you.
I don't know how we're going to do this. Civic education will help.
I think
maybe
so.
a public awareness that we're doing that will help. But it's sad. It's very sad.
Thank you. Or we stop voting for these bad leaders. Let me take Aliyu Kamara.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Let me take another caller here, Aliyu Kamara. Somebody was saying we're saving the best for last.
You got that right. The best is here. Listen, first of all, let me just say you have not been making mistake with the name. People think you kept on missing Salif and Sharif. They're the same thing. You know, when they moved further down to the Kala Gola region, it became Salif, but it's still Sharif. There's someone who knows the Quran, teaches the Quran. But anyway,
Ahmed, Muhammad are the same thing. So
yeah, same people. But anyway, look here. I give this night to my man Anthony here, even though I would do a little bit of subtraction from some of the things he said. Look, listen, the question you asked him tonight, we had the same conversation the other day, but you guys have turned it around and made it a little more brain teasing. You know, you guys have made it a little bit more tougher than the way we had it. When you ask this question, it depends on who you ask this question. If you ask Kedabu Ogongro, he will tell you Joseph Boakai started this whole thing and it's all Joseph Boakai fault. It all depends on who you ask. And when you ask a sober-minded man like Ahmed, then he give you a critical academic analysis of the situation and leave it to the audience to make their judgment. And this is what we've been looking for. But Anthony, when you talk so fine, and all of a sudden, even though I knew that Joseph Boakai would have taken the bigger share of your criticism, but I think you 80% anyway. I think you took over the show and now you did a great job. When you see Joseph Boakai accepted the endorsement from Prophet Key, what did you mean? I mean, when Joseph Boakai accepted endorsement, it's in writing. When was the last time you heard Joseph Boakai endorse? Some of us on social media will support Joseph Boakai. He's never spoken to us, except for the one time that I was in here and we shook hands. I don't even think he remembered that day. So a lot of people support these people, and they don't have to endorse it. You understand what I'm saying? Or accept it. But when people say, oh, well, how come Joseph Boakai will accept him? Come on now. Joe Boakai is a traditional man who believes in forgiveness. He believes in the prodigal son theory.
And Costa going to come back and he forgave again, right? 70 times 7.
Costa will be forgiven, just like Joe Boakai said.
Okay.
90% of what Costa said about Joe Boakai was a lie. But what did he say? He wrote probably 2 sentences. You're my son, and I've forgiven you. And since then, he has not responded to anything. People say, oh, Joseph Boakai took money from criminals. Joseph Boakai did not take any money from criminals. Henry Costa put Joseph Boakai under the impression that he went around, put his cash app up, and convinced people to send him money. It was this Stephen Waterston guy who had to expose that he gave the money. Joseph Boakai didn't know about that, who gave the money. He was under the influence that this guy was collecting money around for him. That's how Joseph Boakai began to respect Costa. I said, oh, it's the boy, even though he had done this and that, but he's doing a lot for me. So you know what? I think I can offer my arms to him. But little did he know that he was a viper. But listen, look,
Thank you.
is great. And Mohammed was talking the other day. He was preaching a whole bunch of other stuff. You know, Blamo on this show reminds me of Blamo reminds me of our Elvis Morris.
I know where you're going. Stop it.
Look, he was basically off to the point you get obvious. You know, you just gotta get used to it. Okay, you know, but no. But actually, I really enjoyed the show. That's why I wanted you to come and help us out. You guys to come and help us out the other day. We have a great host, but he's an unapologetic citizen.
Thank you, Valley. The why you praise white chicken and go in the oil.
Yeah, but no. But it's a great show. But Kebu, I beg you, man. Try to put your integrity foot up front. You are embarrassing yourself. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Let me take the last caller here. That's Ezekiel. Call out your name and where you calling from. Ezekiel, are you there? Ezekiel, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Ezekiel. I just want to say that those things that have been those things have been discussed tonight will always be embedded into the politics of Liberia. Because the fabric of our society embraces those ideas. So nothing, we can talk, you will talk, but you will always dance with those devils. Because the devils have created this, that you need the support of those people to win election. If I can remember as a young person, from 2005 to 2017, every presidential candidate that has been supported by PYJ have won the election of Liberia. So now he become relevant to the politics of Liberia. There is no way that somebody can disprove those ideas, because we embrace those ideas as a society that it's okay for me to cross my president man, and I see president will put my hands up tomorrow. Even if I was having a political, I never support WIA just by him accepting Costa endorsement, because he's telling me, a young Liberian, that it's okay for me to abuse my political leader, my president mother, and I'll be accepted. But I see president because the president want to be in power. He can't offer nothing. He has just told me that he cannot offer nothing to the Liberian society with just that endorsement alone. An objective human being, somebody that can think, would withdraw their support just with that idea. Because we have told me that he can never develop Liberia with those endorsements or accepting those endorsements. Our society, the political culture of Liberia, really need to be educated from in kindergarten up. Because if we can't do this thing, if you can't build a solid foundation, those things will always become a practice in Liberia, and nobody can change it. They will always dance with the devil, because our politicians are hyenas. So they prefer to dance with the devils to gain political relevance and to gain the power, because the power is what they want.
Yeah.
It's not the person, it's not the individual idea they want. No, it's the power they are chasing. So they will dance with every devil. Even me, if I can cause my car, I will stand to it. They will accept me because what they want, what I can bring to the table, because I can cause.
Thank you,
so
Zika.
Those will always be embedded into the politics of Liberia.
Thank you.
We may try to change it, but it will be very, very difficult, except you start it now from the foundation, from kindergarten, carrying it forward.
Thank you. Zika, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Philadelphia.
All right. Thank you for the
how
call.
you pronounce your last name?
Pronounce your full name, Ezekiel.
Yes, thank you.
That's name for the two.
Zeklikle.
Yeah.
Zeklikle.
The only human being need is the C. The Greekly, you ask them, Nima or man will tell you. All right.
See, Israel. All right, Mr. Sharif. You can pick any of those callers and respond, please.
I'll take the first and the last caller. First caller said that the loudmouths are rewarded, and this is true. I mean, how many times that you've seen people who will write good editorials recommending a series of things that need to be done to develop the country, the education. You could pick any sector, pick the educational system, for example. How many times that you will write a decent editorial addressing those issues and you get a call from the Minister of Education? You're not going to get it. How many times you'll write about roads and get a call from the Minister of Public Works or the Executive Mansion, because they don't read. Anytime, somebody said, it's always been said that, if you want to hide something from the Liberian people, you just write it, you publish it. So people, Executive Mansion doesn't care about those kinds of things, but they care about somehow they're bothered by people who insult them, people who curse them out, as we will tend to say, locally, people who will go out at them. They care about these kinds of things. This sort of thing hurts them, especially George Ware. Then he'll go and look for those people. When he goes to his church, he talks about these things. He's been bothered by Costa all for the better part of 4 years. Even Witherspoon, he's bothered by Witherspoon nowadays, and he talks about him in his church. He talks about Witherspoon, in places now. So these are the kind of people that the leaders want to bring close to them.
He calls
Because
Stanton ignoramus bucato.
yeah, they don't, these leaders have no ideology. So they have no ideas about development. George Weah is one of them. So what bothers him is these guys, who are very loudmouth, they're going to talk about him, and he wants to bring them closer. So that brings me to the last caller. The last caller recommended a series of things, civic education from primary, from kindergarten, he says. Is that going to happen? Probably not. Probably not in our lifetime. I don't know if this is ever going to happen. Nobody is sitting there now. None of the candidates are sitting around. The last remaining two sitting around saying, by the way, in my administration, I'm going to institute civil education to educate the Liberian people about their rights and responsibilities in the new Liberia. They're not thinking about that. What is going on now? People are jockeying for positions. Who's going to be Minister of Foreign Affairs? Who's going to be Minister of Education? How they're going to divide up the wealth, and so, or how they're going to divide up the public funds. And so that's what's going on. So nothing is going to happen, even though it's a very good recommendation. Nothing is going to happen radically different. And so that's the way, I see this.
All right, Dennis, can I make a quick comment as my closing?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry I'm not on the camera because I was doing other stuff.
So you can get back on the camera and make your closing.
No, because I've changed my clothes. So yeah, Dennis, you guys brought me here today. So my comment would be one of the callers argue. I believe the last caller or the second to the last talk about poverty. I think the argument about poverty being the root of flip-flopping, I think it's far-fetched. I think it's a little bit, I'm going to say it might probably be a remote cause of that. Because if you take the same scenario in a village, you may not find that kind of thing at a local level. So if people are not flip-flopping in local politics, that if they take side with the chief, that they are with this chief, they don't just flip-flop to another chief. No, they don't do that. So and in terms of finance, they don't have that. The only wealth they have, the forest, maybe their banana farm. So their children, and they got a little hut to live in. So the argument of poverty may not hold that much. Because I can picture myself in when I was at the University of Liberia. I was a struggling child. In fact, I remember my friend and brother Tobo Jala and I basically slept in TH50 studying at night. We just go in the morning, wash our face, get on the bus, and go to Fender. We were 5 in one room. So I didn't find reason to go back home to sleep anyway. Because people slept in that room by schedule. If you come sooner, you sleep. 2, 3, you wake up, others sleep. Okay? So that's the condition we were under. So we found okay, and we're not going to politicians to get money from them to say something for them. So I think the argument of poverty, I think the argument for the market is more an issue than there's market there, and they're looking for sellers, because there's buyers. So people with skill, they're chasing them. I think it's more immediate cause than maybe the question of poverty.
Thank you. Mr. C, I want you to be the last on the callers to respond.
Yeah, Dennis, the caller spoke well. I will rather talk about, how can we stop this? And at the end of us, dissecting this problem, the players, I want to really chime on what can we do now. The callers spoke well, and I appreciate their comments and contribution tonight. Dennis, I don't know if I'll be right if I say our society has reached a point where quality doesn't matter anymore to us. Quality is not attractive. Substance is not attractive to us. I don't know what got us here. And that is the danger, that what is of substance, what is of quality, morals, people who try to live a decent life, people who show respect for others, they are not regarded. I don't know how, we have come to this point, and no one is celebrating a good anymore. We're not amplifying the good. We're not rewarding good behavior that much, and we are rewarding bad behaviors, as a society, and our leaders are taking the lead. And our leaders too don't respect the people that they claim to be leading. For example, we have political candidates running for office. They want to serve the Liberian people. There's a presidential debate organized, and some of them intentionally, willfully made a decision to not go to the debate. That is disrespect for the people you want to lead in the first place. Why would a leader now want to explain themselves? Want to explain himself, told the people he wants to serve. Now, Eugene Namwe worked with Charles Taylor, the MPFL, and the CDC were founded. He came on board, and the CDC did not succeed in the election. He joined the Unity Party, and now the CDC is back in power. He gone back to the CDC. Eugene Namwe has been around politics. This guy is educated. The guy is a journalist. He should understand the importance of a presidential debate. This guy is the campaign manager of CDC. This guy said President Weah is not going to the debate. In fact, the president is taking the debate to the people. And we are practicing democracy. This is how much these people have no respect for the democratic process, let alone the people they want to lead. The best place for the president to explain himself and show respect to the process and the people is to show up to the presidential debate, to engage Liberian citizens. That will create a culture of civilized and civil debate. But what they entertain is this vitriol, insults by all these sides as a way of promoting their political agenda. It's sad. So then it's to conclude, we as the people need to make a conscious decision, if not collectively, then in groups, right, to stop rewarding these bad behaviors. The political leaders should stop rewarding the lives of Costa, Eugene Fagon, and entertaining them in their political institution and giving them a platform to do what they're doing. Liberian citizens too need to start praising these people. They need to start defending these people. We all need to shame these people for the bad behavior they exhibit in the public space, because when they do these things, they carry the name of the nation and all of us. So that is something that we need to do as a people. We need to embrace what is good. I mean, I'm not trying to blow our horn, but this is a platform. We're not perfect. We do our best to represent our country in a dignified way. How many persons come here to get an education? How many? But someone who is insulting, you will see tens of thousands that will be sharing it. We're not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere with this behavior. And it must start from our leaders. Somebody was talking about civic education. The last time I checked, the Constitution said the Constitution of Liberia must be taught. Do you know of any president right now who has that in his mind, that when I become president, I will teach the Constitution? It was mandated by the Constitution that the citizens of Liberia know what to do, their rights and responsibilities. Do you know of any presidential candidate who will talk about that? No. They want to entertain the lives of Costa, the Faliga brother Fagon, to make noise for them as those they serve our country any good. Of course not. They only serve their selfish interest, and that is just shameful. I feel sad for my country, Dennis.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joining us, this is Between the Headlines. Our topic, political party hoppers, flip-floppers, and 2023 runoff. Gentlemen, thank you so much tonight. At this time, we're going to go around the room for your closing. And I want in your closing for you to talk about this flip-flopping and the political grasshopper in line with 2023 runoff. Is it going to pay dividends for these guys who are entertaining and welcoming in their bedrooms these party hoppers?
And Dennis, I think they should close with who is the greatest political grasshopper and flapper of the year. I mean, let him tell us. We want to know. You can't award 2-3 person. Who does that award go to? We need to know.
Okay, let's start with you.
Thank you. I think the greatest political grasshopper of all time, number one is Henry Pedro Costa, Eugene Fagon, and Prince Johnson. We have to give it to them. They're there on both sides, and the market is there, and they are benefiting. So I will give it to them. Now for flip flopper, I will give it to what's his name, J. Randy Dapple. This guy has gone back to CDT 5 times. All right, so I will give it to him, and I will stop that far.
Mr. Blamo, you're closing.
Well, I know my views, it may not be part of the mainstream opinion, but I hold the view that switching parties, switching sides is part of the political system. As one quarter said, it's embedded in our political culture. And as long as there is a market for it, this behavior will always exist. And it's not an indication of a complete breakdown of our political system. Because as I said, even in the great United States, those things happen. And they will be part of us for a long time. And after every election, the election will be a challenge. It poses a real challenge. And the level of our economic situation of our people and the limited political experience, the hatred, the political immaturity, the lack of clear message, all that will affect us. And in our politics is based on distribution of wealth. It's not based on the individual rights. I don't believe that the president's decision to take the debate to the people is an insult. I think the political party are making a calculated strategy on how they think they can win the election. If I know that the debate is not going to impact my running, I'm not going to sit there and debate with someone who will have 1% of the vote. So those things are political strategies. It's not an insult to the people. And basically, what we have in Liberia is a situation in which our institutions, our political parties are not well structured. Our principles are not strong. And the fallout to all that is what we have. But we have done well. We have moved this country to a competitive stage where a sitting president now can lose his seat. And Prince Johnson is the number one flip-flopper if I were to designate flip-flopper. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, I mean, how do I agree with Blamo or anything, right? Because he's so CDC. But probably I'm going to go ahead. Probably Prince Johnson, historically in Liberia, historically Prince Johnson has been known for someone who signs an agreement and back out of it. We know what happened to the late President Doe. So, that point is very valid with Prince Johnson. But that being said, Prince Johnson has always been about, for the most part, being about his interests. When he knew that Boakai was not going to safeguard him from there were talks about, war crime court and whatnot. He found a home in George Weah. George Weah, who was not interested, has never been interested in war crimes court. Now, the latest issue with Prince Johnson, as far as going back to Boakai, is that there were fallout about some funding for Nimba County, and now Prince Johnson's pushing economic interest right there. So he's been somebody who has always been about his interests, and that brings me to all the other flip-floppers. Jobs, their own economic well-being. It's what it is. And, you go back to what the last caller said. I mean, these things are so systemic that, the last caller even gave up. That's where I'm at with it. I try to give up with this thing. It has to start from the very beginning. And then lastly, I would like to say that when, we went to the University of Liberia, we saw some brothers who, wore the skin of an activist. So if you're going to come here like my brother Gonglo and now support a president who unleashes thug to assault university students, if you're going to support an administration and president who has stolen the Liberian people money, then my question to you is, what
Comrade,
was
Comrade Sharif, Comrade Sharif, I don't know where at any time Kelebu Gonglo had ever endorsed or announced his support for President Weah publicly or the CDC publicly. Maybe he did that to you personally, said that to you personally. Let us know.
That's a you're a very smart guy, Anthony. No, he hasn't. I'm going to admit he hasn't said that to me. Okay, so
Thank you.
He hasn't said that to me. But what I'm doing,
But then you're being unfair to the brother. It's like you are anticipating that you want him to do it so that you guys can battle it out here. You want something from him.
Anthony, you're a very smart journalist. See, here's the thing: what the brother is doing to us is that he has already leaned in that direction. He's afraid now to just take the last step. I don't know. When you go to LU, when you go through,
are we closing or are we opening a new argument?
Yes.
When you go through,
thank you.
Argument, I can debunk sufficient of what Mohammed is saying.
Thank you.
Dennis, do I have the floor? So when you go through those things, be unafraid and say what's in your mind and do what is right by you, by your people, by the people who you claim that you are an activist for. And so that's my point. But yes, Blamo, you're absolutely right. Prince John, even though Costa is right up there with him, but yeah, I gotta go with I gotta go with Prince Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Salif. You're closing. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, don't hesitate to give us a little help. Cash App or Zelle 6513926224 or $ FOL Media. We have expanded to Liberia. We now have an office there, and we want to be a little more robust. The people in Liberia are hungry for the kind of information, quality reporting we do here at Focus on Liberia. With your help, we can get that far. Mr. Salif, you're closing, sir.
I just want to quickly, I think it was Elvis Morris who came back to my Nigeria reference about a carpet crossing. That's true. But the context I created there was, their politics is bad as well, but they have institutions that actually work. They, they're building the society. That was the point. And I want to talk about this concept, flip-flopping, that's used in the US here primarily, and I think in other Western countries. They generally refer to when a politician changes position, maybe policy position. It's not necessarily switching from party to party, right? Maybe that's the grasshopper kind of.
Right, that's the political party.
Yeah. And we're not seeing this a substantive sort of flip-flopping kind of happening among politicians there, because again, like Larry Kennedy was pointing out, it's not about the issues. The whole election was not about substantive issues and policy positions and debate around those. If you really ask any one of us here, this person's position, that person's issue position, we will struggle to find the right words to be able to succinctly describe the position. So it's not about flip-flopping on issues that are very germane to the election. It's more of self-seeking, looking for where the sun is shining to hang your wet clothes to get dry and that kind of thing for yourself, for that self-centeredness. That's what I'm going with this. And I agree with some of the comments Mr. Pearson raised. Poverty, yes, not in the context of the integrity we see in the village, and because our village chiefs, they have institutions, they have institutionalism. That is institutionalism. If you are with the chief, that's loyalty. You are loyal, you are with them, you advise them, you ensure that they do the right thing, and you're not just going to flap to the neck, swap to the next person because you have some kind of personal disagreement with this other thing. Poverty, in the sense that when I spoke about that we lack industry, we lack other means of creating wealth in the country enough so that professionals and these elites that are looking for to be parasitical on the public system will have other means, will have other means of living comfortable lives. I think that's the context of poverty, and in which I would agree with Mr. Pearson. Bad leadership is true. Again, I talked about leadership because it's a question of leadership. A leader is about and for the common good. That leader is not there for self. That leader has a greater purpose. It looks at a thing that's larger than themselves. They want to be able to leave a bigger legacy. Yes, they will benefit from the largesse of some sort, right? I mean, because legally to hold office, the Constitution ensures that the office holder is comfortable in that certain way so they can do the work ethically, so that we can lose sight of that. That happens. But in our context, we're not focusing on building leadership and good leadership practices for the betterment of the country. So I think if we can pay attention to some of these, keep advancing conversations and looking for entry points to ensure that certain people who are like-minded get in office, can kind of infiltrate some of this bad system. We'll make a dent. Hopefully, some things will begin to change. I'll close with, we Liberians, we're not oblivious to goodness around us when we see it. People can change quickly. The culture, you can cultivate goodness, you cultivate integrity and good practices, and people will see it as good for them. They will pivot, and the country will make progress. And then that's what I'll be looking for alternative voices, positive allies, and so on.
Do you have the all-time political grasshopper and flip-flopper?
It's a difficult question because we have so many examples. The thing that I will point out with Mr. Henry Pedro Costa that makes him to stand out is, look, it's one thing to disagree with someone, to say I'm not going to support you. You behave in an ungrateful manner toward me. I'm moving on. I will endorse the other person. I mean, that's leadership again. If you really are truly doing about mega leadership for the good of the country, you want to stand up for bigger things that are larger than your own personal interest. That's what you'll be thinking. If you disclose privy conversations, things that were confided in you in the context of trust, and you breach that trust, I think for me, that breaches a lot of things for me. That raises a lot of questions in my mind. In that respect, he gets my vote in if that's what you're looking for, Dennis.
Exactly what I'm looking for is the flip-flopper of the year and the political grasshopper. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time, and want to thank our viewers, for those watching now who commented, who called, and even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia is the place to be. At this time now, we're going to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are